Hello, my name is Richard Baldo. I am a retired clinical psychologist and poet, and I will be reading 5 poems that have to do with my career practicing psychotherapy. They are not all specific situations that occur with particular patients, but they are situations unusually intense or have to do with themes that therapists face often. At any rate, let me start with a poem called New Patient Appointment. Minutes into the session, holding myself frozen at my desk, my spine shivers in its confinement. Unable to bolt for the door behind me, only 3 feet, too far for safety. I discard the impulse to run and attend his fist, pounding on my gray steel-cased desk. My heart answers with blood pulse pounding in my ears. The man's senseless shouting continues to shake my office. Breathe, wait, master, the bullied boy inside me. The shouting continues, now ready to kill. He shouts, he will kill. His red face, his voice hard, too real. Scenes of blood on the walls, bodies in the sagebrush pass through me. Who has he already killed? Killed. My young therapist heart calms. Wait, hold firm with steady eye contact. Just let the threat pass. He gradually tires of his own helpless rage. I watch as the angry shield gives way. My therapist self acknowledges how much misery and helplessness feeds that scary outer rage. As the conversation continues, he agrees to sit down. He starts his real story. I suggest just raise the recliner footrest. At the end of the hour, with parting words, he turns to leave the office. I see the wooden grip of the revolver sticking out of his back pocket. How afraid must he have been to need that? And then there are other situations that require therapists to make decisions maybe once in a career, as this one was once in a career. The Privilege, this poem is called. How does one decide to call a dying patient, but a family member called to cancel her appointment? Thinking of her lying unconscious in a distant city, dying. Her urgent need helped overcome my shock and helplessness. We had worked so hard to heal such near-deadly wounds that bound her at the stakes of childhood's brutality. There must be something I could do to overcome the indignity of life's new assault against her. Could she not have a moment of comfort to be at ease? The ICU doctor answered and said there was nothing that he could do. Her husband and children on a plane, expecting to be too late. There was only enough O2 getting through to keep her brain alive for a short time. Doctor, you may think this is weird, but would you put the phone to her ear? He replied, at this point, I'll try anything, and ran a line to her pillow. The one-sided conversation reached into her life, asking her to choose it with all its pain, with her children, with the hard struggle to heal, anchoring memories lived in our shared years, desperate reaching for moments of innocent light. Perhaps I was there somewhere in that pulsing screens, beeping machines, IV poles, and tubes of precious air. There, in that white automated room 2,000 miles away. 20 minutes later, someone picked up the phone. Something had changed. The pulse of life was quickening, oxygen piercing, inflammation being metabolized. In the chart, a change of heart was noted. They put the phone back to her ear an hour longer, and she breathed stronger. I put the phone down, still shaking. This patient actually survived and gave permission for me to submit this poem for publication. So I thank her for being willing to let me share a story of that night. The next is a theme, again, one often, perhaps every day in one way or another, that confronts healers. The prowling man. Contact is the trigger for the man and the young boy who knows his home is not safe. He runs. The man chases. For this primordial reptile response, there is no cause. There is only the immediate. 200 pounds of man charge, 50 pounds of boy cower. Both would say, I don't know why. Just the meaningless replication of generations, the nuclear disaster of so many nuclear families. The decision for anybody to go to therapy is important, and particularly, I believe, for all of us therapists, to spend the time keeping centered and taking care of our own business is important. And this poem is called Psychologist Returns to Therapy. Leaving my office to sit in the other chair in her office to ask another human being to hold up the mirror for me, despite the fear that a bright shield might make me stone. Here, sitting in my limitations to try to answer the question of the Sphinx on the road to freedom, can I crawl to contentment through necessary pain, to rise from 4 and stand on 2 legs? Will she see a case of Orpheus without his harp? Is there a new rock to push up the hill again? Stuck with life's latest labyrinth, a part of me knows the way out of any maze, just to put a hand on the wall and not take it off until I am through. I ask her to be my steady wall, to keep this shaky hand and look into her mirror. But oh, the persistent problem of that minotaur. And finally, the 5th poem of this group has to do with the inspiring scene from Robert Redford's first film that he directed called Ordinary People. And you may recognize it if you've seen the movie. Drama in the office. There are exhilarating moments when I get to be Judd Hirsch. A Timothy Hutton furiously storms in like he wants to sweep all the books off my table to crash to the floor. Perhaps once in 5 years, ordinary people bring their lives into my office to explode the mechanism of their moments into metamorphosis. For these few, the denouement makes me the blood-spattered audience. The therapist can only sit in awe of the power of the cathartic leap the patients make. The method of these actors demands that they speak their scolded soul truth of anguished guilt, secret betrayal, or righteous anger to be free. In each of these moments, my job is to contain the therapy room, safe from judgment or interruption. Emotions, like lightning, emblazon our nervous systems. Endured together, we may be shocked, but not broken by the power that overwhelmed their defenses until now. The room moves in storms and waves of light and shadow. As they see their therapist is not destroyed in these nightmares brought alive here, they can survive them. I stand witness to any chaos of catharsis that moves toward freedom. We feel each wound together, healing whatever bleeds. In the quiet after the storm, we are exhausted but cleansed. We part in calm with much to talk about in our next meeting. When alone again, I pay the smaller price, stooping to pick up the books as if to replace the props for the next scene where I might be granted a role. Again, if you haven't seen Ordinary People, it's a great film. And Judd Hirsch does a good role playing a psychiatrist and therapist. So, thank you very much for listening. There will be a collection of these and other poems I hope to have finished by the end of the summer. Again, look for these poems in SIxfold Poetry, Summer 2023. Thank you very much.